Alright guys, Monday, July 2nd, this is the inaugural Sneed Mobile Tech Podcast. Welcome back to all the loyal and returning subscribers and viewers out there. If it is your first time viewing my channel, welcome as well. Thank you all for stopping by. This is the first edition of the Sneed Mobile Tech Podcast, thus I have named it Sneed Mobile Tech Podcast 1. My goal in the podcast is to take a handful of topics and really delve into them, really dissect those items. Most of the update videos only scratch the surface of a few topics. This format allows me to get into some details and specifics of those topics. So I'm excited to add this new element to the channel. So let's just go ahead and get right back into it here. Alright, so topic 1, Samsung Galaxy Note 9 rumors and leaks. So here on the screen you guys can see a render of the device that's up and coming here. We're expecting this very shortly actually. The Galaxy Note 9 has already arrived to the FCC for regulation clearance 1 month ahead of schedule. So a potential Unpacked event could be happening in mid-July, launch and release probably for second week of August. We're expecting similar specifications to the S9 and S9 Plus. Big rumor I'm excited about is the 4,000 milliamp hour battery that's probably coming into this phone. My confidence is pretty high in this, so I could say that that's probably going to happen. Another thing we're hearing is faster wireless charging, which Samsung already does a really good job of. And we're definitely going to see some enhanced S Pen functionality, some new features maybe, slimmer top and bottom bezels. You guys can see in that render, that would definitely mean more screen real estate, bigger display, less of the black space at the top and the bottom. You can also see the frame is definitely going to be metal. You could see the, kind of at the bottom, you could see those antenna lines, button placement on the left-hand side there. That's probably a Bixby button. We're hearing dual rear cameras on this thing. It's definitely, there's a flagship, Samsung's top-end device, so we're expecting, big money for this phone. I would guess probably pushing $1,000. I think last year's device was $950, $960, depending on the carrier you got it from. So we'll have to see what happens with this device in terms of pricing, but we can expect it in that range. Let's change topics here. Go over to the Galaxy S10 now. So you guys could see the render there on the screen of what we're expecting from the Galaxy S10. These are pretty much rumors. This device isn't slated to come out until the beginning of next year. So rumor has it that the display is going to be 6.4 inches. I'm not sure if that's the S10 or the S10 Plus. It's going to have an embedded screen technology where the fingerprint scanner is going to be built into the display. And the earpiece and speaker is also going to be built into the display, which sounds kind of weird. But Sharp has used this technology in the past. More and more OEMs are trying to find ways to create bezel-less designs, and it's at the cost of the speakers and the front cameras. So it's probably not going to have any type of front-facing speakers. If it's going to have speakers, it'll be probably bottom-facing, and then the earpiece built into the top of the display. So that's kind of interesting to see what they offer there. And the in-display fingerprint scanner sounds really interesting too, and we're already starting to see some of the, the digital fingerprint scanners from some of the Chinese OEMs that are experimenting with it. It's pretty new technology, not that dependable, definitely not wide scale, but it does make sense for Samsung to create a radical design, some new technology for the S10, since the S9 was so similar to the S8. And this would make this the 10th edition of the flagship phone from Samsung, so expect some big things there. So we're expecting some new design, new tech. The camera will probably be improved. Maybe we'll get dual cameras on the S10, software, some feature upgrades. I'm also hearing there's going to be a new facial recognition technology, which probably isn't going to be ready for the Note 9, but is probably going to be ready for the S10. Now, should this technology not be ready for the S10, then expect them to retain like the iris scanning capabilities and stuff like that. But if the technology is ready, I'll probably say that the iris scanner is gone. They'll probably get rid of that. Now when it comes to the facial recognition feature, I'm sure they're going to be doing a lot of testing. There's probably not going to be too many major issues with it as long as it's ready. Software should run pretty flawlessly. It's supposed to be really, really accurate, compete with Apple Face ID, facial recognition. So we'll have to kind of see what that is. And of course, as rumors and speculation continue to swirl, I'll try to report something more concrete, I guess. Now, in terms of cost, they've been pretty competitive. Samsung's done a pretty good job of keeping the S10 affordable, or the S9 and the S8, around $750, depending on your carrier, or buying it unlocked from Samsung. So this one's probably going to be a little bit more money. I'd say it's probably going to be closer to like 800, maybe 850. It's got some new tech. They could definitely charge a premium for that. And they're probably going to offer an S10 Plus model, a larger one, which will be more expensive. We could definitely expect that. In terms of when the device will arrive, probably somewhere around January of 2019. So that's right around the time of CES. It's about 6 months away or so. So as random rumors comes out, we'll kind of just have to see if we get any news or leaks, about the new device. Something that I'm less confident about is the rumor that there's going to be 3 models. Samsung's never done this before. So, regular S10, probably see an S10 Plus, and then we're hearing that there might be a Pro model, and this one would be the one that's rumored to have the 3-camera setup. So apparently these devices have already received nicknames within the company internally, calling them the 0, the 1, and the 2. I'm guessing the 0 is the regular S10, and then the S10 Plus is the 1, and then the Pro model would be a 2. Apple is supposedly flirting with a 3-camera design device already. This would just mean that Samsung's kind of playing follow the leader. I don't know, who's going to come out first with a 3-camera model or whatever, but that's something we could potentially see, so that's exciting. Speaking of Apple, try to do my best here so you guys can see the devices there. All right, so these are supposedly going to be the 2018 iPhone lineup. We have 3 devices there, different size displays, different technologies. You can see that all 3 of the photos, all models have notches. Probably no headphone jacks. You don't see any fingerprint scanners. It's an interesting lineup there. So of those 3 photos, starting on the left, that's probably going to be what they're calling the iPhone 10 Plus type model. And in the middle, you have like the next generation of the iPhone 10. And then to the right, you have what's supposed to be the budget-friendly model that's coming out this year. So you can see the device differences. The 2 models on the left are OLED panels, and the one on the right is an LCD. So that's probably why they're saying it's going to be the budget device, because it's costing a little bit less. Now, in terms of the 6.1-inch device, that one is said to be the budget model, rumored to be somewhere between $600 and $700 at launch. Single camera setup on the back. Don't see any fingerprint scanner visible. Definitely has a notch, so they all have the same design. The iPhone 10 update model, which is positioned right in the middle on this screencast here, that one's rumored to be at about $900, which brings it down about $100 from last year's model. So a little bit more affordable compared to last generation. 2-camera setup, facial recognition, gesture-based OS. I think all of them share this in common, and this one uses an OLED panel. And all the way to the left, you have the 10 Plus type model, which could exceed $1,000. 6.5-inch OLED display. We don't know much else about the devices other than the sizes of the phones, the technology of the screens that they're using. Some people have said that they know how many gigs of RAM they have. We just don't know that information yet. So we don't know if they're all going to have wireless charging, or certain ones will. If they'll have fast charging or glass backs or metal design, we just don't know. So we'll have to keep our eyes out for that. All right, here we go. So here you can see, this is just a screenshot of the Apple AirPods. And apparently next year in 2019, we'll be getting an upgraded version of the Apple AirPods, as well as them being new in terms of design. They're going to be going over the ear. So Foxconn is confirmed to be building these new AirPods. Noise canceling, water resistant. They're supposed to have improved distance. So being able to work from further away, putting your phone down somewhere and then, moving around and about with the AirPods still on, without them disconnecting. So, and those sound like great features. Noise canceling is awesome. Sound quality would be greatly improved. The water resistance definitely help with people with active lifestyles like sweating and things like that. And then the distance improvement was awesome. So people being able to use it for further distances as opposed to like the standard 20 to 30 feet range. All right, so in terms of cost, last year's AirPods I think were launched at about $159. These are an interesting design choice. They're going to be different. They're probably going to be more high end. They're going to be more expensive. So I would say at the lowest probably $200, and at the highest probably $299. You can definitely expect them to be in kind of that Beats range for premium headphones. $249, $299. They're going to be pricey. So I'm not sure if you're interested in that. A lot of people really like the AirPods. Should be kind of a unique situation where they're kind of stepping into the premium headset realm, competing with the likes of Beats and Bose and Sennheiser and all these other companies that are very premium. So we'll see what Apple does there. Okay, now some of you actually may be users of SD cards and micro SD cards and so on. We could be seeing a pretty crazy new data capacity. We're seeing the potential of 128 terabyte storage range. That's an absurd amount of data capacity, and apparently these the transfer speeds and the writing speeds are going to be upwards of almost a full gigabit per second in transfer. I think the exact number they have is like 985 megabits per second. So super, super fast, very, very high capacity for data. I believe currently the maximum SD card size I think is like 2 terabytes as potential, but they don't even have one that's been produced of that size. I think the highest I've seen is like 1 terabyte. So actually in terms of production, a lot of people, they ask questions like, why would anybody ever want or need this? I mean, just think about the cost of how much these would be. Well, you got to consider that, they're trying to future-proof the technology. 4K movies are obviously starting to really get a full head of steam. 4K video recording, handheld computing has kind of taken it a step further. A lot of, high-resolution video capture and stuff like that. So trying to future-proof how big you can actually get the storage. I guess terabytes is 128 terabytes is something that could be possible. No word on when we could have this or when it's going to be produced, but it's just good to know that that's available out there. Okay, so the world's first 5G network has launched. This is interesting here. You guys know 5G is a big topic here on the channel. So the company is named Elisa, and I believe it's a Finnish company based out of Finland that serves about 3 million customers and 6 million subscriptions. So this service provider has created an actual true 5G network. It's considered fully deployed. It is considered commercial. It's no testing bed, nothing like that. It's already completed those stages. In the actual true field, they're getting download speeds that exceed a full gigabit per second and uploads that exceed 400 megabits per second. So this is not testing, this is not isolated, it's not testing in a vacuum. This is fully operational, multiple cities. They're using it in automobiles, transportation, healthcare, entertainment, so lots of different sectors. The question here is like, now that we actually have full level deployment of 5G networks in other countries, does that put pressure here in the States and other countries like Japan and China and Taiwan that are kind of forging ahead with this technology? Where do we currently stand in this, and how do we compare to a country that's already deploying it on so many different levels? So this is fantastic. I like to see what other countries are doing. Obviously, Finland is a much smaller country than, say, the United States. They definitely don't have to deploy the network to the scale that we do, as well as a country like China and things of that nature. So it's good to see what they're doing. It's obviously much easier for them to deploy a true 5G network something that's going to take a lot more expenditure on our end here in the States to get that deployed, but nonetheless good to see there. The next thing I'll talk about is for those of you that know the OnePlus company, this is an Android OEM manufacturer, formerly a startup company, which I believe is the daughter company of Oppo. I'm not really sure. I forget. I know it's some larger Chinese manufacturer looking to get into U.S. carrier stores. So the OnePlus 6 is their newest device from the company. You guys can see it's pictured there. The OnePlus devices have always been GSM only. So if you wanted to, make your purchase on eBay or, online through OnePlus, you're kind of restricted to two carriers and their MVNOs. So it was T-Mobile or AT&T. So if you had Sprint or if you even had Verizon, you were just out of luck. You couldn't, get authorization to use the devices on their networks, nor were they even compatible, to have full compatible LTE. Some other issues that OnePlus has had here in the States was supply as well. So being able to bring in enough devices to, have a full rollout of the device and get them shipped to people, they've had issues with that as well. So even with all those restrictions, surprisingly, OnePlus has done pretty well, especially with their newest phone, which is the OnePlus 6 pictured here. So even with the restrictions, they've done pretty good. They're looking to possibly strike deals with U.S. carriers. I think it would be fantastic if they were at least to get with AT&T and T-Mobile, since their phones are technically compatible with those networks. Maybe not so much Sprint being a priority, but definitely Verizon serving as the biggest carrier here in the U.S. If they were to strike a deal with Verizon, maybe get the CDMA compatibility, at least, getting the full, LTE band compatibility there. A lot of people here in the U.S. buy their devices strictly from U.S. carriers. And the reason for this is they can go into the carrier stores, they can, test and try out the different devices, see what they offer, speak to a salesman, try to, get information about the devices, which is kind of ironic because oftentimes some of those salespeople don't actually know what they're talking about or what they're doing. Would be good to see if they could get in with some of those different distributors. Maybe they could offer incentives and have different things available to them that could give carriers exclusives, to help their sales as well. Now, speaking of this particular OnePlus 6, you guys can see here in this image, this is the red variant of it, and it's pretty sharp. It's good looking there. It's a nice color. I'm not really big on it myself. There's all types of cases and colors you can get, but, committing to a bright color, if this is something you're interested in, this new red edition here, it's pretty nice. It's available starting July 10th, which is just about a week away. 8 gigs of RAM in tow, 128 gigabytes of storage. I think the starting price on it's like $579, so it will be available stateside here, and I think also in India. So if you're interested in the red edition of the OnePlus 6, there it is. All right, so that pretty much wraps up the first podcast here on Sneed Mobile Tech channel. Thank you all for watching. Next week's podcast should be a little bit longer. I will be doing a weekly video podcast moving forward. You can catch them on my Patreon page, which will be launching this week, so be on the lookout for that. I'll have a live stream this Friday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard U.S. time. More of an open forum for discussion on various topics. I'll have a few that I'll raise, and you guys can ask pretty much anything that you want. I'll have some answers for you, hopefully. So again, thank you all for your viewership, and this wraps up the podcast. Video update coming tomorrow or Wednesday. It's an exciting time here on the channel, so stay tuned for everything. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Ding the bell to get notified for all the happenings. This is Sneed from Sneed Mobile Tech. Have an excellent day, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.